Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Tomcat Stitchery. I'm Whitney and today I'm here with another make. And I tell you, thank goodness for those easy win type of sews. This is the newest Itch to Stitch pattern. This is the Nosara, I think it's Nosara, top shirt, button-up shirt that was actually released on Friday. I actually already had that video. I was a tester for this and wasn't sure when she was planning on releasing the pattern, and she actually didn't make that decision until Thursday. And I'd already had the video prepped and uploaded and everything for Friday. So I'm like, well, we'll share it on social media and then I'll talk you through my version on Tuesday. So this pattern was released on Friday. So if you follow me over on Instagram, you've already seen me in it. But of course, I will be putting pictures and video in as I talk per normal. But just like, you know, continuing the conversation a little bit from Friday about just needing some easy sewing wins just to refill the tank and just get that creativity going a little bit. This project also fell into that category and was really a joy to sew. I find that with all of Kenneth's patterns. She is the designer for Itch to Stitch. Her drafting is just impeccable. Her instructions are really well thought out. And again, I was a tester for this, so I was going through the instructions kind of with a fine-tooth comb. I often don't follow instructions when I'm sewing. I have techniques that I like to use, and I go through it that way. But I do have to follow the instructions to the T when I'm making a pattern test, because that is part of the test, making sure that the instructions make sense, looking for typos, I mean, all that kind of stuff, as well as do the pieces fit together well, does the pattern sew together well, and your size, and yada, yada, yada. So anyway, it's just a joy to sew her things. She just does a really good job of taking a basic and elevating it just a little bit, making it a little bit different, throwing in some new techniques and all that kind of stuff, and then doing a great job of explaining them and walking you through that instruction process as well. So big fan of Itch to Stitch patterns and love it when I have time to test for her. It always makes me a little sad when a test does not fit into my schedule. So this one did, and I'm so excited to share my version with you, as this shirt makes me really happy. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of the color. This shirt's a little more mustard than I have on. This is a little bit, which technically my best yellow is a little more of this canary yellow, this warm orangey yellow. Is mustard. I look fine in mustard, but it goes a little muted. I'm a little more clear, if that makes sense. So mustard's a go-to. Like, I definitely wear a lot of it. But anyway, this is really my best yellow, what's on the mannequin here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the pattern. I will talk you through adjustments that I made, and then we'll talk about fabric, because I'm trying to be a little bit more conscious of talking about that and different fabrics that you could use, because I know that can be hard. Like, that can kind of make or break a project. In addition to fitting, I feel like fitting's the other kind of big component too. Just sewing and making sure that you get something that you really enjoy wearing. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the pattern. So this is a button-up shirt. As you can see, it's got buttons that go all the way up the front. It's completely functional. This shirt features a collar stand and a collar, so which honestly is my preference. I've made a couple of camp-style shirts, which are the collars without a stand, where the collar just gets sewn to the neckline of the shirt and either finished off in the front with a facing or sometimes a placket. I've made a couple of those recently, or one of those, I guess, when I made my Max tunic from Style Arc. It's that tunic dress that has the scenes of Italy on it. That was a camp style. But my favorite is definitely a collar with a collar stand. I just like the way that finishes off really neatly. It features a dolman sleeve. So that means it's a grown-on sleeve, so there's not a separate sleeve piece, which makes this a pretty quick sew, considering it's a button-up shirt. There's the optional chest pocket, which I actually went ahead and put on this time. I don't often do that, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. This dolman actually has bust darts, which I think really helps with shaping, especially if I feel like with dolman style shirts, a lot of times, because there's a lot of excess fabric in the armpit because of the nature of a grown-on sleeve, when you also have a large bust, there can just be a lot of fabric that goes on here in the armpit for a dolman. And so sometimes that bust dart, that extra shaping just really, really helps things. And I think I can, just get a little bit better fit. This pattern does come in her full size range from a size, does she do double zero up to a 32, I believe. I'll leave the bust range here. And each size comes in an A, B, C, D, or double D cup. So I love that she does that. It just gives you a lot of options, and she walks you through how to choose that and all that kind of stuff. So it makes it really easy to make a well-fitting garment. On the back, it has got a yoke, which the yoke kind of, does the other part, a little, extra part of the sleeve here, extends into that. The back features 2 pleats on either side. So instead of having a center back pleat, there are 2 pleats on either side. It's got your curved shirt tail hem. And that's about it. I mean, those are kind of the basic components to this shirt. Now, the alterations that I made to this, I always shorten, a lot of my patterns, but I always shorten my itch to stitch patterns. If it's a top, I shorten them 1 inch at the lengthen and shorten line that she puts at the waist. And that's what I did on this one, because I'm a short torso, and just so hems hit me on my hip or wherever where they're supposed to, I typically do that adjustment. And I did that on this one, and that is the only adjustment I made. I made the size 8 with a D cup. That is my go-to with itch to stitch patterns. And then I just have to mess around with lengthening and shortening lines, which is brilliant. It's wonderful. It's nice when you can find pattern companies where you have to do the least amount of adjustments. It just makes things a lot easier. So yeah, I just shortened it at the waist the 1 inch. So made it very, very easy. Okay, let's talk a little bit about fabric. I actually did not have enough fabric for this shirt, and so I'll take her off Lena here in a second and kind of show you the insides. But because I really wanted to play around, since it was a gingham, I wanted to play around with putting gingham on the bias. I love gingham on the bias. Gingham and stripes I think are so fun to play around with and give you just a little added interest, but I really love it, especially on gingham or checks. So this fabric is a cotton shirting from Stylemaker Fabrics. Now, you could make this pattern. Karina did a beautiful version in a viscose, like a challis. You could do this in anything with drape or with structure. So if you wanted something a little drapier where it hangs on the body, your sleeves don't stand away from you as much, a little less structured, I would say your viscose challis, your viscose crepes, likewise silk crepes, silk charmeuse if you wanted to get really fancy. Your lighter weight fabrics though, lighter to medium, I would call this maybe a medium weight. This goes a little bit from shirting into maybe like a cotton poplin, which is kind of your quilting cotton type weights. But let's see, what else with drape could you use? I think those are probably the best. You could do a cotton gauze, like a double gauze. This would be wonderful in that. Things with a little bit more structure, which cotton gauze kind of runs the line a little bit, but you could do this out of a cotton shirting, cotton lawn. I think a cotton poplin is maybe the thickest you would want to go, but you could, if you wanted to do something fun with some of those designer quilting cottons, you could definitely do that with this shirt as well. Linen, this would be beautiful in a linen. Gosh, I think those are like the main ones that I would suggest probably for this shirt to make, to be appropriate for this type of shirt. Again, mine is a cotton shirting. A medium weight would make a great dress. It would make, obviously, a good shirt. And a little thicker than your typical shirtings. Definitely thicker than a lawn, but maybe a little bit lighter weight than a cotton poplin, which would be like your quilting cotton type weight. So I got this fabric from Stylemaker, and it was a remnant. So I think I only had maybe, I don't think I had 2 yards of it, and it was narrow. It was only 45 narrow. So I had to get a little creative, especially because I wanted to cut some things on the bias. Now, I cut my pocket on the bias. I just don't understand why you would put a pocket on the front of a shirt, unless it's functional, but why you put a pocket on the front of a shirt if it's just going to disappear. Like, there's no point, right? You want it to stand out. You want people to be able to see that detail. So I like to put my checked pockets or even striped pockets. I like to mix it up a little bit. But I like to put definitely my checks on the bias for that. And then because my back has a pleat, so it would never match up all the way across. Now, that being said, because the pleats are on the far side here of the shirt, you could get center back to match if you were doing a vertical stripe or even this gingham. You could get that to match, all the way across until you got to your pleat, and then it would be off on the sides where it goes into the armpit, which probably wouldn't be the end of the world. If you didn't mind that, because it would be off, because you've got more length in the lower back than you do in the yoke. But I think it's fun to do things on the bias. So I cut my yoke on the bias just to give it a little bit of interest. If you're going to do that though, you do want to cut, typically with yokes, you have an outer yoke and an inner yoke. And even if your pattern doesn't call for that, that would be my recommendation. Again, I'll show you the inside here in a second. But if you're going to cut your yoke on the bias, that does give it, makes it a little wiggly and a little unstable. My suggestion is to cut the inside yoke straight a grain so that it stabilizes it and gives it, so you don't get weird seams and get kind of weird and wonky. Curved hemline, I did use, the pattern calls for just turning under the hem, finishing it actually, and then turning it under, which is what I did on the sleeve. I serged my edge and then just folded it under once and hemmed it, although you could do a quarter and a quarter if you wanted. I called for the same thing at the bottom of the hem of the shirt. I did go ahead and finish mine with white bias binding, just because I like the way, I think it sews easier. So I did finish that off with some linen white bias binding. I just happened to have in my stash. I am just over the moon with how this turned out. Let me take this off the mannequin. One of my favorite things about button-up shirts is that they can finish off really cleanly on the inside. Now, I did do faux fell seams for my underarm seams because they're only 1/2 inch seam allowance. That's why I'm like, there was a reason. So I do have my seam allowances where I finished the seam, maybe you can see, and then top stitched them down. So mine have been serged, for instance, but you could zigzag or do the overlock stitch on your machine. And then I top stitched them on the right side. So it makes it look like a flat fell seam, but it's not. So it's much easier to sew. But the other seams on my shirt are all nicely enclosed. So this is where I had to use something from my stash. So the inside of my yoke is actually this white cotton lawn fabric that has little dots, Swiss dots on it, which actually came from my mentor stash, from my mentor Joyce's stash, which is always fun when I can use those pieces. And then your collar just finishes off real nice and neat, and you don't have any exposed seams. And then she does use the burrito method for finishing off the shoulder seams as well. So the yoke and the shoulder seams kind of get finished off in one fell swoop, and that looks really, really nice. And then I did my bias tape trick for the hem. So that finishes off really nicely on the inside, and then it just looks hemmed on the right side. What else can I say about this? This shirt just makes me so happy. I'm just so glad that I got it made up. For my buttons, I did use just a lighter weight shell button. I love shell buttons. I get mine from Wall Whack, and I use either the muscle buttons, which are like a brown, but they have variation in the color, or the shell buttons, which are a little bit more white with kind of some rainbowy colors, kind of like when the light hits it. Some iridescence, I guess. I just like the way they look, and they're nice and lightweight, and I don't know, they make a nice shirt, a nice button on a shirt, in my opinion. Anyway, very excited about this shirt. If you are new to shirt making, I think this is a great place to start because you're not having to mess around with cuffs or sleeve plackets, and that takes that out of the equation. So it's really just learning how to put a collar and collar stand into a shirt. And if you're wondering, if I have any tutorials on that, I do. I'll pop that up here. And I'm also in the midst of making a shirt making class, which will walk you through all of these types of steps for all kinds of button-up shirts. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that one. But yeah, it's a great little beginner project for shirt making, and perfect for the summer, and a really good transitional piece. Now this is pretty summery fabric that I used, but I think that if I could pair this, I could take the gingham into the fall. You know, if I put this with like an olive green pant or a camel colored pant, something a little bit warmer, and more neutral, I think that you could get some wear in the fall. Put my Metro blazer over this. You know, I could kind of start to take that into the fall a little bit as well. But right now, it just makes me happy every time I put it on. I've got it paired with my Taroko skirt, which is also from Itch to Stitch. And so that was a pattern test earlier in the summer. So it goes great with a white denim skirt, or like white denim shorts or pants or that sort of thing. But obviously, it's just a really nice tailored top to wear in the summer, not too fitted, so it's loose and breezy and all those sorts of things. So great, another great pattern from Itch to Stitch, highly recommend. Okay, guys, that is all I have for today. On Friday, I will be back with my the Stashify makes for July and my fabric haul. So the fabric that I also grabbed in July will be Friday's video. So I will see you then, and then again on Sunday. All right, guys, I hope you're having a great week. Get some sewing in, and I'll see you Friday. Bye.